This girl married an African warrior from a Wilds tribe. Their love story ended so sadly. This story happened 36 years ago. A young and successful businesswoman from Switzerland went to Kenya for a vacation and fell in love with a Samburu warrior. For the sake of love, she gave up everything, including leaving her fiancé, and chose to live with the African warrior in a small hut in the wild jungle. Unfortunately, despite giving birth to a beautiful girl, their love story ended sadly. Why couldn't they be together, and what does their 35-year-old daughter look like now? Corinne Hoffmann was a regular girl from Europe. Her dad was German and her mom was French. She grew up in Switzerland and had a good life. When she turned 21, Corinne started her own clothes shop. She became a successful businesswoman and had everything anyone could wish for. The girl was really pretty, rich, and had a bright future. She was slim, tall, and blonde with lots of admirers. Corinne dated Marco for almost 2 years. He was a guy from her social group, good look and very wealthy. They could have gotten married and been happy. But such a life felt too dull for Corinne. She dreamed of traveling and having adventures. In 1986, the couple went on a vacation to Kenya. Back then, Corinne was 26 years old and it was an amazing time for her. During their vacation, they had a great time and learned a lot about Kenyan culture. One day, they unexpectedly met warriors from the Samburu tribe, including one named Lkatinga. He was the tallest, strongest, and most handsome among them. Corinne couldn't stop thinking about him and soon found herself in love. It might have seemed a bit crazy. What could they share? They came from completely different worlds. She was a wealthy girl used to a comfortable life, while he was a warrior from a wild African tribe with only a red loincloth, some goats, and a jungle hut. Despite these differences, Corinne didn't mind. She fell in love so deeply that she was willing to let go of her entire past life. The girl made a decision to break up with her fiancé and sell her store in Switzerland. She went looking for Lkatinga and shared her feelings with him. The African man couldn't resist the charming foreigner and they spent the night together. However, he could not even think that this girl could become his wife. She seemed too strange and hard to understand. Moreover, he didn't know anything about her parents, and that holds the importance in Africa. Yet Corinne managed to win the hearts of his family and convinced him to marry her. They officially became a married couple and celebrated the ceremony following the traditions of the Samburu people. Since then, Corinne Hoffmann settled with the tribe in the wild jungles of Kenya, leaving behind the comforts of city living. With her husband, she lived in a small hut made of dung, lacking sewage, running water, or electricity. To use the toilet, she had to venture into the jungle far from the village, and bathing meant using a bucket. Proper food and medicine were scarce. She adapted to the Samburu way of life, doing tasks like fetching wood and water. The girl suffered from diseases, mainly malaria, but fortunately she survived. For the sake of her beloved man, Corinne was willing to endure any difficulties, yet the challenges weren't just domestic. From the early days of their marriage, the couple began to have disagreements. Lkatinga was jealous of his wife and made scandals even if she smiled at other men. They struggled to understand each other due to their different upbringings. The African warrior was accustomed to the idea that the man is the head of the family. Consequently, he found it annoying when Corinne opened a small shop in the village to sell basic goods and managed everything herself. Despite all the challenges, they stayed together for 4 years and had a daughter in this marriage. However, as each day passed, Corinne found it increasingly difficult to cope with life in the African tribe. She discovered that the Samburu practiced female circumcision, a brutal procedure where young girls' genitals are cut off. In all developed countries, this barbaric practice is strictly prohibited. Lkatinga insisted that their daughter should undergo this ceremony, but Corinne strongly opposed it. Additionally, according to the tribe's customs, she was supposed to give her daughter as a servant to her husband's mother. Moreover, Ukatinga had the option to marry multiple times to have more children, but Corinne absolutely couldn't put up with it too. Ukatinga increasingly gave her scandals because of jealousy, possibly a side effect of his addiction to the herbs. Once, he even claimed their daughter wasn't his. It was increasingly difficult for a woman to put up with such a life. She was exhausted by constant accusations. So one day she decided to leave the tribe with her daughter and return to Switzerland to restart her old life. In 1998, she wrote her autobiography The White Maasai, where she spoke about her life in the tribe. Since its first publication, over 4 million copies have been sold around the world. The autobiography was also made into a film of the same name, which was also a great success. The woman wrote several more books and became very popular and wealthy. Today, Corinne Hoffman is 63 years old and her daughter Napalai is 35 years old. Napalai is a beautiful woman who owns a hair and makeup lounge in Zurich. She is also a wedding stylist and has become a very successful woman. However, not much is known about Napalai's personal life, including whether she is married. Napalai grew up in Switzerland, attended college, and only visited her father's tribe after turning 20. Corinne allowed her daughter to go on a trip and see her father only after reaching the age of majority, as she was afraid that her father might not let her return. Despite past grievances, everyone was happy to see each other again. All these years, Corinne financially supported her ex-husband and his entire family. However, she could not return to him as she realized that they were too different to be together.